Hello, my name is Ashley Corbally, and this is my learning and teaching interaction. I really liked what we've been learning these past few weeks, kind of like the ethics and kind of all about um, the professional aspect of family life education and kind of the guidelines and the principles with that. I found them to be really interesting, and I think there really is a need for those principles. Um, The family life educators' ethical guidelines are meant to be educational. They're meant to help family life educators to think critically about ethical issues. And the ethical thinking and practice for family life educators, there was three that they mentioned. The first one was rational ethics. And rational ethics asks what principles will guide my interactions with clientele and other family life educators. And it focuses on importance of relationships and any type of interaction. And it also kind of deals with understanding of relationships is the foundation from which ethical decisions should be made. And it's kind of rational ethics is kind of seen as a call to action. The second one is the principles approach, and that asks how should I deal with ethical dilemmas that may arise. So when situations come up, the principles approach is kind of how do you work from there? What do you do from there? And it emphasizes specific principles set as the ideal of practice. And then the third one is virtue ethics. And virtue ethics asks what characteristics are important for me to embody as a family life educator. And it's, there's three of them they talked about: the caring and prudence and hope and optimism. So I found those to be really interesting when I was reading about those, and just from kind of experiences from my workshop, I taught 16 to 18-year-old young women, and and just thinking, I taught them about marriage preparation, which can be a very sensitive topic, but I know there is even more sensitive topics that can be dealt with, and just how the care and you approach what you say, and especially when sometimes the girls would share something that was, maybe a little on the personal side. It didn't really happen in my workshop, but I've seen it happen in church before. Um, you have to know how to deal with certain things and things that you need to take take into consideration. The second thing I want to talk about is boundaries. So a question from the reflective questions was, why is it so important that whatever our training is, we understand our limits and boundaries when working with families? Um, I think that is a very just huge question. The first ethical principle states that we will understand the impact and power we have on families, and family life educators truly do have the potential to have a lot of impact on families. Families a lot of time come to classes that family life educators teach for help, and they are seeking or they're seeking guidance from someone, and you can be very influential in their lives for good or for bad. Family life educators are teachers, and they really can have a profound impact. It's important that family life educators recognize that they are not therapists, and their job is to teach facts to help people. I think that it was really clear to me in previous lessons that family life educators aren't therapists. We don't um, they don't have the right training to be therapists, or that is not the setting in which they can be therapists. And kind of as the semester went on, I realized how really important it is not to take that therapeutic role, and how easy that might be. And I think it also is really easy to express our opinions we may have as facts, when in reality we should keep them as our opinions, and try just to really focus on the statistics and try to focus on the principles and the material that's out there about teaching families. And how can your personal value system impact you when you teach? Family life educators are family advocates. Anything dealing with family is usually strongly linked to personal values or religious beliefs. I know that my membership in the church greatly influenced my workshop. I taught in an LDS church and with an LDS audience, and so I kept that in mind. And I also really believed in what I was teaching. I was really passionate about it, and I think that's really important. But also, I think it's important to know your audience. I know that if I wasn't teaching an LDS setting, I wouldn't have so much LDS principles in there. I could still have, secular knowledge that I believe in, but I wouldn't, like I had some quotes from some apostles. I wouldn't probably put that in there for them because it's important to know your audience. Um, there's two ethical principles that really stood out to me out of all of them. And the first one was in the first category in the fourth one. It says, I will help parents and other family members recognize their strengths and work with them to set goals for themselves, their children, and others. This one really stood out to me because I think it is just so important to be supportive and encouraging and not condescending and not thinking that you know more or that, oh, I'm glad I'm not in that situation, but to realize that there's hope for all families and they all have strengths and we are all children of Heavenly Father and He wants us all to exceed and we can be a key instrument in making that happen. And the second one that really stood out to me was I will treat children and youth with respect and sensitivity to their needs and rights as developing person. And I thought this was so important because we need to remember to be respectful to and kind to children and youth too. They are very important and they deserve respect and they deserve to be treated according to their age, um, not just to really listen to what they have to say, even young children, because they have a right to speak up and to hear, and we need to be that leader for them in their lives. And I think that's everything. Thank you.